Hi, everybody. This is Rockie Ventura, and I'm excited to bring you another lesson today. Hey, this lesson is inspired by one of my, I guess you can call it book YouTube mentors, Mr. Jim Rohn himself. If you've not heard of him, I recommend you Google him, YouTube. He's got a jimrohninternational.com. I have a few mentors in person, but I have a lot of mentors that I consider my mentors who are online. I found on YouTube or just listen through books on Audible. And I want to talk to you today about a lesson that he included in one of his seminars. I think it was in the 70s. Anyway, you can find this. It's free on there. It's YouTube. So all the stuff I'm be talking about today comes from that. But it's on the way he talked about value. All right. I got my handy duty whiteboard here. And so that's going to be the topic today. We're going to talk about the word value. All right. Now, when you think of that word value, hey, maybe you probably think of like a value meal or something, maybe from McDonald's or, some sales company or something. They use that word value a lot, right? And value is the perception of what something is worth in exchange for something you're giving and something you're receiving. That's the perceived value, right? So when you go to McDonald's and they say you want to biggie size it, I don't know if they still call it that or not. It's a value meal, right? You get the fries, you get the burger, and you get the drink. And some would call it a value because I'm paying less and I'm getting more. And you would say, oh, I got value out of that. There was a lesson that Jim Rohn taught me that changed my life. And John Maxwell uses the word value a lot. And so those two mentors right there just really, really instilled this in my mind. I also heard Zig Ziglar talk concepts on this. And I want to share that with you today because I think it has potential to make you see things perhaps a little differently. Now, I'll be primarily talking about the place of work, okay? And at work in economics, we call that the marketplace, okay? So when we're talking about economics, we're talking about the marketplace. That's where you go and you go to work and you say, you typically would say, oh, I get $10 an hour to work at wherever you may work at, right? $7 an hour, $10 an hour. Now, that $10 an hour, okay, that $10 an hour, let's just use that. You think you get paid for the hour, right? You think you get paid for the hour. But here's the thing that I learned from Jim Rohn that it changed my world. He said, you don't get paid for the hour, but rather you get paid for the value that you put in the hour. And when he said that, it just really changed my life. And let me tell you what he meant by that. Well, you go to work, right? And you think you're just showing up and you say, okay, I'm here. I've been here for an hour. And you did nothing, right? Say you did nothing. You think they would still pay you if you did nothing? No, right? They're paying you for a perceived value that you're giving them. When you signed up for the company, you knew the position that you were applying for, right? So let's just use a quick example. Let's say you applied to be a cook, okay? Perhaps, and since we use McDonald's, maybe we'll go with that. So perhaps you signed up to work at McDonald's to be a cook. And more specifically, you flip burgers, you kind of work the food line service. Now, that value is based on what? If you're working in the back of the house, you don't necessarily need good communication skills or anything. You just need to, in the way I understand McDonald's, I've not worked there, but you just, they give you instructions how long the food needs to be. So you probably need to read, right? Follow instruction. Okay, so can you follow instruction? Sanitation, right? Maybe you got to take a sanitation class. Okay, so these are just some things that if you're able to do that, you are now able to add value to McDonald's, because remember, when you work for an organization, you're saying, I want to work for you. And I don't know if you realize this or not, but at the time you said, I want to work for you, you're essentially saying, I want to help you make more money, right? It always kind of baffles me how people go to work for an organization and they want to leave early. They want to arrive late, leave early, still get paid for all that time. They want to bash the company, and yet, that's the company that pays them, right? And if they don't succeed, you don't succeed, because then they go out of business, and then you curse the company. What do you say? Oh, I knew they were going to go out of business. Right? It's always funny to me when I hear people talk bad about their job, as if they're not the ones that have a part in it, right? You do have a part in it. But so they're paying you at one point. Somebody hired you and they said, I'm going to pay you $10 for the value of being able to read, for the value of being able to follow instructions, sanitation, right? Maybe sometimes legal plays a role in it. Do you have a history of stealing? You got a clean record? Okay, well, I'm gonna pay you, because these are not in high demand, right? Like, I think my 2-year-old or 3-year-old is starting to read, so read is not too high of a demand. Following instructions, a kid can follow instructions, right? So sanitation, you can teach a person to be sanitized. Legal now is that, crime rises, and so depending on where your legal background is, that might hinder that. But okay, so you generally got a good background, so you can see now that this is not a high demand. The value here, to attain that value, what they're looking for, that position, in this case, a food service person. This is what you would need, right? You need to just be able to have some basics. I know I'm missing many, right? I get it, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of what value means, okay? So now, the going rate for that would generally be about $7 to $10 an hour. Every state gets to pick their minimum wage. Every company gets to pick. I know the government has a minimum wage. Your state may have a minimum wage, and then the organization that you pick, that you decided to work for, will also have, like, hey, we here. I know when I worked, I worked several places: Pizza Hut, McDonald's. I didn't work at McDonald's. Sorry, Pizza Hut, Starbucks. I worked at the Marriott. The list can go. I had 27 paychecks that I have pay stubs still that I have from my history. I saved them all, by the way. So I've worked for 27 different organizations in my life. Many times holding 3 to 4 jobs at one time, and that's no lie there. It's serious truth. It's another story. But yeah, I was just always a go-getter. I always wanted to I always try to make more money, right? So that's one way of doing it. So, some people will say, well, I'm just not making it. I'm not being successful. And so one way to make more money is to do what I did. I got more jobs and I worked harder on my jobs with an S, okay? And I did make more money. At one point, I was in the Army Reserve. I worked for the Census Bureau. They do it every 10 years. So I did the Census Bureau. I worked for Starbucks and I worked for Marriott. Those were 4 jobs I did all at one time. Or, yes, I think that's what it was. And many times, though, I always had for sure 3 jobs: the Army Reserve, and then any other 2 jobs. Army Reserve is 1 week in a month. So most of my life, I always had about 3 jobs, because I was all about getting the money, right? I've always been, and I was going to school full time. You can picture that. I just had that drive. But okay, I wanted to make more money, but then I started getting some more personal development on this word value here. And I'll never forget the day Jim Rohn said, if you want more money or you want to be better at anything, don't work harder on that thing, the job in this case. Work harder on yourself, because when you work harder on yourself, you can raise your value. Now, remember, we said we were using the example of McDonald's, right? And we said McDonald's is willing to pay someone who knows how to read, follow instructions, take the sanitation course, have a good legal background, maybe some other things, good appearance, genuine good appearance. I don't know, whatever your organization requires. Now we're talking about the food industry, so everyone's different. And they said that cost $10. Okay. Now, if you happen to be great at customer service and great at solving problems with customer service, all right. So let's just say you're a good communicator, okay, and a problem solver. Am I getting that here? Yeah. Problem solver. So this was $10 an hour. But you can also bring this value of being a good communicator, good problem solver. What does that sound like to you at a McDonald's or at a restaurant? Probably a supervisor, right? Maybe the manager. Okay, so here maybe they're gonna pay you $2, $3, $5 more. All right, so now that's a plus sign, that's a dollar sign of $5. So your net worth now, or value that you bring to the organization that they're willing to pay you for, is $15 an hour. Again, it's hypothetical. I don't know what exactly they pay. I know when I worked for the Marriott, I went from $9 an hour. Then I became a supervisor at Starbucks and got, I think it was $10, $11 an hour. And then the Marriott hired me to work their front office supervisor position. And I think they paid me $14 or $15 an hour because I raised my value by getting a bachelor's in hotel restaurant management. So I became specialized in that industry. And they said, I am willing to give you more money. They were going to offer me a management position until I decided to change my industry and I became a teacher for a little bit. Another story on that. But let's go back to the word value, okay? So raising your value to an industry. Remember, you don't get paid for the hour. Don't get fooled into thinking that your company pays you for the hour. They don't pay you for the hour. If that's the case, show up and do nothing. It's not going to be a pretty day, right? They don't pay you for the hour. They pay you for the value that you bring in the hour, and you're expected to bring this. Read, in the case of food service person, to read, follow instructions, sanitation, legal, customer service, but basic good stuff. Now, if you become a manager, you're expected to be a good communicator, good problem solver, right? And whatever other things. And they're going to pay you $5 more than the average person starting off. So now you're going to get paid $15. Now, what if you said, I'm going to go to school. I like this industry. It's fun. I'm going to go to school and get maybe business degree. Okay. So maybe you got a certification or you got a business certification, a business degree. Okay. So now, I don't know if you can see here. So you decide to go to school and you get a little more schooling and maybe you come back with a business degree. All right. So now you can, you have business, you can talk money. You can make more money for your organization because not only can you do all this, are you able to flip burgers, clean the dishes, but now you can be a supervisor. You're a good communicator. You're a problem solver. So you're a floor supervisor and you can answer things. So the company's going to want to pay you more because you're able to do that, right? You're able to do that. But hey, now what if you're really good at business? So maybe an organization says, I'm going to put you as our store manager and you can lead people, right? What if you're just really good at leading people? You can multiply people to do better communication. You can multiply people to be good problem solvers. So they're going to want to put supervisors under you because you've just raised your value to the eyes of the company and they're going to want to pay you more, right? So, hey, maybe they tack on another $20. So Here's plus $5. That's the plus $5. And so now, because you know how to lead people who communicate well, you know how to make business, you know how to make money for the business. You're thinking marketing now. You're thinking, let me get strategic. I know when we were at Starbucks, we used to go outside on the street and we used to give samples to people, and people would come in. Did I just bring money for Starbucks by doing that? Yeah, right. I could have just sat down when we were slow. We didn't have no people coming in, but we didn't do that. I said, you know what? Let's go. Let's make a few drinks. Let's make a few samples, and we took them outside to the community, and we started. And by the way, the organization allowed us opportunities to do that. So I wouldn't say don't do that, unless your company might think it's stealing. Okay, but get permission first. But if they allow you that flexibility to think outside the box and make more money in whatever industry you're in, then that's how you can do it, right? Rather than just sit around and be on Facebook, killing time. You're just like, oh, I hate this job, I want to get out. You can focus on ways that you can raise your value. And many times, all you have to do is just think. All right, the ideas are there, but I think a lot of times we get so swamped up in trying to be like the other crowd, and if they're not happy, well then I'm not happy, and we talk down about our boss, and just all this negative stuff, and we're always complaining about I don't get paid enough, right? Well, you're getting paid the industry wage. Think of it like this: you open a business. Are you going to want to pay someone $100 an hour to work food? I'm talking about common things like flipping a burger. Not that there's anything wrong with those positions. I'm just saying these are skills that many people have, right? Many people can flip a burger, follow instructions, read how long to leave it in the microwave or whatever they're putting it in. This is a basic skill. So would you, having owned the company, pay someone $100 just to flip a burger? Probably not, right? Because you're worried about your income too as the business owner. Well, guess what? So is McDonald's and Chick-fil-A and the mom and pop restaurant. They're also concerned. So they're going to pay the standard wage for whatever that is. Sometimes they use the government minimum wage. They'll use the state. They'll start whatever they have to start at. And then if they're a good organization, maybe they put it like $2 higher just so that they can make their position more marketable for you to apply for them rather than the other person. But regardless, they're still going to pay you around the average of what that position costs. All right. And so there's two ways to try to make more money here. You can wait for the government to raise the minimum wage. All right. Maybe you can go on strike and say, oh, I want more money. I want more money. But what are the odds of that happening, right? Like that happens. I mean, by the time all those strikes and the government does that, 10, 15 years go by and you still have the same hourly pay. Or a faster route, I would say, is to work on your value, right? Increase your value. I don't know where you work. Up until now, I'm just talking about food. But now let's talk about you. Where do you work at? All right. Think about what the goal of your organization is. Your organization exists for a reason, right? Even if it's for a nonprofit, your nonprofit must do things in order to stay in that game, in that business, right? And so figure out what it is that your organization does, your mission, goals, priorities, the vision. Excuse me, let me get some water real quick. I need to add some value to my throat because I'm thirsty. Okay, sorry about that. As I was saying, so your organization has a mission, and they hired you in the full trust and confidence. They used a manager or a supervisor or an HR person to hire you. Now, look, I'm not going to go and say that person was good or bad or what their intent. I don't know. All I know is you got hired and you made a deal with that organization, and you said, if you pay me this, which you agreed, whatever they decided to pay you for the value for that hour, you said you would pull through with that value. And if you're going to work and you're on your phone and you're wasting time, you just broke your promise or your agreement, right? And is that right? Right? Now, if they didn't pay you a dime from your check, you would blow a fit, wouldn't you? You'd be like, "Well, you didn't pay me all my money, and I worked this." You'd be mad. Well, what do you think the organization feels when you don't add to them, right? So here's what I'm saying. One, give it your all, but if you want more income, one of the best ways to do it is as add your value. Now, adding value, we are all coming from different backgrounds. Look, on the reading side, I wasn't there. I needed to work on my reading. All right. Following instructions, I was a bad kid. Or most people who knew me from middle school, high school, they'll probably tell you, yeah, that boy was a bad kid. That boy was bad. I was. I didn't follow rules. I hardly read words, right? Uh, Sanitation, well, I was good there. My mom taught me how to clean, no issues there. Legal, I didn't have a history of legal, per se. I'm in the army, and so thankfully, I've always been able to stay out of legal trouble. But so for this position here, I would probably make it. But I'm just saying we're all starting from somewhere, and I don't know where you start from. I mean, what else do we got? We got legal, we got appearance. Okay. I didn't never want to buy into this one for a long time because I used to sag my pants. I used to wear baggy clothes. Yeah, I mean, that was me back in the day. And people used to tell me, put on a suit and tie. And I'm like, I ain't trying to be all that, you know? And then I joined the army, and then I had to wear the uniform. And I wasn't happy when I first joined the military because I like to express myself in those days and I wanted to be me. But remember now, when I started wanting money and I knew I wanted more money, like better money, some of these higher end organizations, especially at the hotel business, hotels pay really good money. They offer really good careers, but that meant I had to clean up my appearance. So not only did I had to have a good legal background and all this other stuff, but I had to clean up my appearance. All right. I had to clean up my act a little bit. So the saggy pants had to go, the crazy hair had to go. I used to spike my hair, maybe it's still spiky. No, but I had to clean my act up. Okay. My language, I used to talk like this and what's up, home. I used to just talk slang. All right. I used to talk slang a lot, and I had to clean that up. Imagine talking slang to a person who brings the Marriott thousands of dollars of business, right? I mean, they expect professional etiquette out of you. So because I wanted more money and I wanted to work at a higher end hotel to get it, I had to clean up my appearance. All right. It wasn't about expressing myself. It was about the organization winning. Because the more the organization wins, the more I win, right? Because they get more money, I get more money because maybe now bonuses or this or that. So I hope you're seeing how value ties into that. I increased my value. And this is where my world changed for me because I remember learning. Well, my very first leadership position was when I was a supervisor for San Antonio swimming pools, aquatics, or with the aquatic department or something like that. Um, I was a lifeguard, and then the next year I applied. Every summer I would apply as a lifeguard. I'd work at the Kingsborough pool, for those that are from San Antonio. And I started off that. The next year I applied to be a lifeguard, and they would ask me questions like, do you know how to problem solve? Are you a good communicator? Do you know how to create a work schedule? I said, yep, yep, yep. And I did the interview. I read a few pointers on how to interview for a few supervisor position. And by reading, I increased my value because I went into the interview with some knowledge of these things. All right, because this is the things they're hiring me for to be already. And so I said, I can meet those qualifications. I just got to read a book, pick up a magazine. Internet wasn't that popular back in those days, or that easily accessible anyway. And I think it's still dial-up. I don't know. Some of y'all don't know what dial-up is, right? Okay. So going back to value, you can increase your value. And if you do, you can get more money. Now, here I'm just talking about money because it's easy to gauge. All right. but you can increase your value with people. Learn what others like, put other people first, and now all of a sudden they will value you more, right? You'll gain we call it influence, but that's how value works. And so I want to encourage you today. I don't know what you're going through and what you're thinking in your mind, like, oh, I don't know what to be, I don't know what to do. And you may have been like me. I had 4 jobs at one time. I was going to school, I think full time at that time. And I think I was just newly married at that time as well. I think that was my free. Yeah, I was married. Yeah, yes, I remember now because the baby, it's all coming back. It's all coming back. Stress galore, right? But gosh, I just wanted to add value. And I thought at the time that making more money meant more jobs. Now, more jobs at the time, because of the value I was able to bring based on my skill sets, in order for me to get more value in me, I had to go to school, right? Now, maybe you don't. Maybe you pick up a skill set. Maybe you read a book. There's different ways to make yourself more valuable, all right? But you have to make yourself attractive to the marketplace, all right? Now, when we talk about value, I'm not talking about the value you have, the way your parents value you or your spouse values you. That's outside the marketplace, and you are valuable. And I have a Bible that says you are valuable to the Lord. Okay, so don't confuse the two. We're only talking about the value in the marketplace. This is a handshake agreement saying, I agree to get $10, and in return, I do this, this, this. If you agree to pay me the $10 for doing this, this, this. All right. It's a business handshake agreement, isn't it? I know we can't shake hands in this COVID environment, but it's a fist bump environment, ain't it? So this is the way you raise your value. All right, I'm going to put this board down, and I just want to close out here. Let me make sure this thing doesn't fall. All right. I'm tired today. I could see a little dark circles in my eyes here. I had a long day today. Okay. Watching videos like this helps you to raise your value, and reading books helps you to increase value. Now, spend it wisely, okay? If you're already in an industry, it don't matter if you like it or not for the time being. If it's helping you to get from one point to another, let me give you an example. When I worked at Pizza Hut, I was going to college. Nothing wrong with Pizza Hut. This is not a bashing thing I'm trying to say here. But I worked at Pizza Hut. It got me where I needed to be for the time. It allowed me to be in my vehicle and deliver pizzas. And while I was in the vehicle, guess what I had on my radio? Can you guess? I had audible recordings playing. I had things where I could learn playing, and so I was just trying to double up on learning when I could. Just trying to learn where I can. I was just always trying to add value to myself and learn. And these are ways that you can add value. So reading books, learning from people, getting a mentor, increase your value, come with ideas, be a problem solver for your organization. And you think they're going to see something in you after a while, you keep saying, I'll do it. I'll do it. It amazes me how so many people get mad when their boss says, hey, I need you to do this. And they roll their eyes, right? They're asking you because they might not have anybody else. They may trust you. And there you are blowing that opportunity to add value to your organization. So be proactive when it comes to these things, all right? Hey, that's all I got for this topic on value. I hope that it was a blessing for you. This is a lesson that changed my world the day I started adding value, understanding what value was. And I live for the day. I go to an organization now and I meet my boss and I say, tell me what you have trouble sleeping over. What keeps you up? I want to solve that for you. I literally tell my boss that in the Army. I want to be that problem solver for you. I want to help. Where can I help out? This is how you gain influence in your organization, by being a problem solver. Add value to your organization and add value to people. All right, I want to pray for you, dear God. I just ask that you give them strength. Be with them, Father God. Help us to learn how to have a servant's heart. and add value to people. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. All right. I'll see y'all later. God bless you. Take care. Bye now.